Welcome everybody to the HolloTalk podcast. This is Jetpack Nick, and I'm here with a very, very, very special guest today. My guy, my main man, Mr. Jordan Morgan. Say what's up to the people.
What up, people? What's good?
How you doing, man? First and foremost.
I'm good, bro. It's been a long week, but first week of the new year so far, I think everything is going great and is really setting the trajectory for what we're gonna have going on later in the year.
Absolutely. All right, so let's just get right into it, man. So for the people who don't know who you are, can you let them know who you are, what you're about, and what you do?
For sure. So former NFL player, current MMA fighter, currently in the middle of writing a book, currently an account executive for a media agency. So I'm got my hand in a lot of different pots right now, but ultimately enjoying the ride so far.
Okay, all right. So we could go a lot of different ways. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just start with the first one. So former NFL player, right? Let's talk about that experience. I'm gonna give you the floor and you can just tell me all about that and then I'll follow up with some questions afterward.
For sure, for sure. Was drafted in 17,
Hmm.
retired in 21, spent time with the Chicago Bears, the Tennessee Titans, and the New York Jets, even went to Canada for a split second.
Yeah, all the cold
Uh,
places.
yeah, bro, for real, for real. But no, it was definitely a dope journey. I think coming out of college, it was good for me to experience that because it showed me what life could offer if you're willing to step out of your comfort zone and make some things happen for yourself. So I think that was pivotal in my development.
Okay. All right. And you're from Philly, right?
Yeah, born and
Okay.
raised.
Right. And you went to Kutztown.
Yeah,
All right, so let me actually ask that question because not too many people come from Kutztown to come from D2 schools
yeah.
and goes to the NFL. So I'm gonna ask this question. So coming from a relatively small school when it comes to producing NFL talent, right? Like what's the major differences or the different experience that you had from somebody that comes from a school that produces a high quantity of NFL talent?
For sure. There's a lot to be honest. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, at the end of the
there we
day,
go.
football is football.
Right.
But when I think back to college, like sure people were fans of the team, but it wasn't like Alabama where you got like half the nation like loves you. Like
Hmm.
you really were just playing for the love of the game. And it wasn't like everybody was getting full rides because Division II, so you don't get a full ride. You still got to pay to go to school.
Right.
You're really just playing for the love of the game. But I started to see how it's different for D1 guys. Like when I played in the Senior Bowl, it was like this all-star game with like all the best talent in the
Hmm.
country. So I was there with dudes from like Bama, Clemson, like LSU, Georgia, like all those powerhouses. And the life was different for them because them boys they've been like stars since the second they walked on their campus. Like
Hmm.
media follows them, like the resources they have. Like my school's locker room is so raggedy and bogged down. Look like you get a fucking infection if you walk around on that floor. They're actually in the middle of renovating it right now, though, or at least they have plans to. So good for
Okay.
them. But I would say like just how football is perceived by the campus and really like the nation. So again, like talking D2 football, like if you talk D2 football, majority of people aren't going to know any of the teams. Whereas if you talk D1, somebody's going to know some of those teams.
Hmm.
Um, so that type of publicity, and then just like their resources, like you see these fully decked out locker rooms and weight rooms and like cafeterias with just like literally upper echelon, like best of the best. Like this is literally gonna,
Hmm.
as long as a player commits to the process, like he's gonna be a great athlete just because he has amazing
Right.
resources ahead of him. I don't think, obviously, small schools can still produce really good players, but when you're at a powerhouse like any of those other schools, you just have way more resources that put you in a much better position to become a great player.
Okay. So would you say that okay, so I don't want to discredit nobody work ethic and not like that, but do you feel like coming from a small school, you had to put in like twice the work to get to the same places, which is the NFL ultimately?
Yeah, so I think no matter where you're at, you got to put in a lot of work and you
Right.
got to
That's why I
ball for
said
people
I
to
don't want to
see.
disrespect nobody work
But
ethic.
I will say I do honestly believe that for small school guys, it is different because you have less chances for people to see you against great competition. Like if you go to Georgia and say you play Bama, if you have a good game, everybody sees that. They
Right.
know a lot of people in Bama are going to the league, so automatically, like you have credibility now.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like at Kutztown, like I could play against some dude from Bloom, but they're gonna be like, all right, that's some dude from Bloom. Like who the fuck is this guy? It's not gonna be
Right.
anybody. So I had a coach who would like say this to me a lot back then. Like you have to, the way you get them to notice you is by never losing a rep and always being dominant.
Absolutely.
And like it's very simple advice, but it's not always that easy. But
Mm-hmm.
he is right. Like I think if somebody can put on the tape and I don't even know who you are, but the first thing I'm like, who is that guy? Like that dude is
Mm-hmm.
having a game. If you're doing that every week, like yeah, that's how you end up there. Like even in my case, like I played like 3 games in high school. Like had no idea what I was doing. Like tried out for the team, got hurt, walked on a cuts. And every week, my whole thing was always about just being the best player. Like I wanted to see who the best guys were, see how I stacked up against them, and like if I did good, I'm like okay, that's good, but like I need to beat them next time. Or if I beat them, I'm like okay, I know I'm better than that level of competition. So like what's next? And that's kind of what brought my attention to the NFL, honestly, because it was never in the plans until like probably like toward the end of my junior year where I'm like, damn, okay, like this might really be a thing. Like I had like
Right.
agents trying to like hit me up, scouts coming to practices here and there. So I'm like, damn, like this might actually be something.
Okay. So for you, like specifically, like what was that moment where you was like, yo, like this can really, really be a thing? Or like what was that game that you had that was like,
Mm.
oh, I was killing shit. Like
I wouldn't even say it was a specific game, but I think like halfway through my senior season, like every team from the NFL had stopped by our practice at least once just to
okay.
watch me. And at that point, I was like, okay, like they're coming to check me out. Then like a few weeks later, I got an invite to the Senior Bowl, and I'm like, okay, like this shit is real now. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's real interest here. There's really going to be an opportunity for me. And at that point, like you don't know you're going to the NFL, but you know
Right.
you're going to have a shot to play in front of people who
Mm-hmm.
evaluate that. And that was all I ever really wanted in the first place.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask you this, right? Because I see people ask these questions all the time, but I want to ask this because especially since you're from Philly. So what was the best player that you played against in the NFL? Who was the best player that you played against in college? And who was the best player you played against in high school?
Um, for for the NFL, I would say the best player I probably played against was I never got a chance to play against AD, but that would have been awesome. There's this dude named Grady Jarrett. I don't know who he plays for now, but when I played, he played for the Falcons, and he's on like some fat like 50-60 million dollar contract. And we only played against each other for a few reps because they ended up taking him out of the game. But I just remember thinking to myself like he didn't get a sack off me, but I'm like he was damn
He
close.
was
A few
close.
times I'm like damn, yeah, like this boy's special, like just firing off that ball. And I'm like on a few times I'm like you know what, like this is dangerous. Like he's legit. Like I gotta be careful out here. But so that's the NFL. For college, I would say and this guy might still be playing actually. His name is Julian Houser. He played for Clarion, and he spent a little bit of time with the Jets and then went to Canada playing for
Okay.
the Hamilton Ticats. And he's like a stud for them, like edge rusher. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's still playing now. He's done a lot of good things for them. High school, I really can't speak on because again, like I said, I I played 3 games, but I really should say I just got in 3 games. Like I wasn't
Okay.
actually
I
playing,
got
yeah,
you. All right.
because
So
I had
okay.
no
Okay.
no prior football knowledge or background, no idea what I was doing or what
Really?
was going on. I was just happy to be there, to be honest.
Wow.
Um, yeah, but it's crazy how like that's how it started, and then it became this whole thing.
Okay. No, see, and the reason I'm asking this because I don't know if we talked about this at rec, but I was telling you that my brothers played football, high
Mm.
school, college, and my oldest brother got a shot for the league for a little bit too. Um, so as far as I'm concerned, they the two best players I ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
in high school. They was amazing. So that's why I asked that because I thought you might would have said their name. But no, but you went to public school in high school, right?
Say that again.
You went to public school in high school, right?
Uh, so I went to Parkway Northwest.
Okay,
It's
all
no
right.
longer a school now, but like it's a small school. So for sports, they merged a lot of their teams with Germantown High School.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
got you. Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because my brothers played in the Catholic League. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, the Catholic League is like the best football in Philly, though. Let's be honest. That's what.
Oh, I see. They
Yeah.
gonna love that. They gonna love you saying
Uh-huh.
that. Okay, all right. No, that's dope though, man. So because like just thinking about it, like when people ask these questions, you always hear like the familiar names, oh the JJ Watts or the ADs, like you said. But saying a name that's like not too many people know, it's interesting to hear why that is, and why do you think that is per se when it comes to you really being on the gridiron and you seeing the different levels of talents from guys who may not had the name recognition or may not get the shot to be that guy.
For sure. Like I think the thing is, and I say this to people all the time, like no matter what sport it is, like if you're at the professional level, even the players you don't think are good are still the best players in the fucking world.
Right.
Like sometimes it's just a matchup issue where it's like they're going against somebody who's just really good at the thing that they're the worst at, but they're still good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not bad at it. So sometimes people might appear like, all right, this guy had a bad game, and say, okay, well, like he's also playing against the other best guys in the world. So like it's gonna happen sometimes. And some people obviously, like you can have a group of 10 people and one person might just be better than everybody else in that group.
Right.
But if you take that one person from every group, there's also going to be, and you make another group of 10, there's going to be one person in that new group of 10 that's better than everybody else in that group too.
Facts.
And that applies to everything. So you figure only the best high school players go to college, only the best college players go to the NFL. And even within the NFL, only the best players, like some players get immortalized. Like you look at
Yeah.
the JJ Watts, the Aaron Donalds, like the Tom Brady's, like there's just some guys who it's like, yeah, this league is the best players in the world, but then there's like the best of the best, and that's
That
why
1%.
exactly like the 1% of the 1%, and those are the guys that like that's why you hear about it so much.
Okay. Because like, just being like a fan or, just the average fan, they would watch the game and be like, this guy's a bum or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
not even thinking like this he would rip your head off in real
No, for real though,
life.
yeah. Like I remember, oh fuck, I forget the game. I was watching one game where they kept talking about how this one D tackle wasn't good. Like you're saying he's getting blown up by like the
Mhm.
other O line. But I'm literally watching like, bro, like last week he got 5 sacks. Like he's not a
Right.
bum. Like he's just not it's just not his game. Like he's this fucking superstar, bro. It's crazy.
And like especially like when I have professional athletes or former professional athletes come on, like I definitely like to have you guys talk about that aspect of the discipline because like I said, people just watch it and be like, oh, like I could do this or like just the crazy thoughts of like what
Mm-hmm.
y'all do isn't as special as it really is.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely like y'all to come on and share your personal sentiments about yeah, this shit is a lot more special than you think.
Well, it's like anything else in life, really. Like if you hone a skill, if it looks easy, it's because like you're just that good at it.
Right.
So the other people, oh, like, well, I can do it too. All right, well, come try it. No wonder you can't do it. Like if you look at somebody juggle, I've never heard somebody watch somebody juggle and say that seems hard. But I can't. But if you give me more than two things, I can't juggle to save my fucking life. And that's exactly how that plays out.
No, yeah, that's a fact. And speaking of which, though, we probably should have started off with this, but I definitely want to send a prayer to Damar Hamlin too.
For sure.
That was something that I think put things into perspective for a lot of people who haven't seen anything like that up close and personal before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I said, I've been around sports my whole life, with my brothers and other people who I know play sports. So like I've seen different injuries and all types of different things. So but seeing that was very, very different, like for me as well as I'm sure it was for everybody else. So I definitely want to send a prayer out to him and his family and everybody else that was involved too, the
For
Bills
sure.
and Cincinnati as well.
For
Um,
sure.
Speaking of that too, for you, like when you seen that, or like I don't know if you was watching the game, but when you seen it or heard about it, like what went through your mind when you found out what happened?
Yeah, I remember like first when I saw it, I remember on social media people were talking about like head-on collisions in football, and I'm looking at it like that wasn't a head-on collision.
Right.
Like this is something else, and that's what makes it scary because I mean it's scary regardless, but if it's
Mm-hmm.
helmet to helmet, you're like okay, like it's
You
probably
know what it
concussion,
is,
probably just got
yeah.
knocked out. But I'm like he literally made the tackle, got up, and then collapsed. I'm like that's something
That's
else
not normal.
entirely, yeah, and that's scary. And finding out that like he's actually breathing now. Like they were able to get to him in time to like
Right.
essentially save his life. It's just crazy to think about because they I've seen like in different articles saying like yeah if you receive an impact a certain way to your chest like it can stop your heart and cause
Mm-hmm.
other issues. But then you look at something like football where it's like that's happening every play.
Yeah, that was a routine tackle, a routine
Yeah,
tackle.
literally like there's nothing out of it. It wasn't even like a an explosive, like it's
Right.
all explosive, but it wasn't like a hit that made you go, oh shit. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I was like what just happened? But I guess it does serve as a reminder that things like that can happen in any contact sport, depending on obviously might not always be that exact same scenario, but contact sport in general, like we love them, but they are very there's a lot of danger or there's a lot of danger to them.
Absolutely. So I want to go into the mental health aspect of being a professional athlete as well as just seeing something like that, right? Because these guys got to suit up the next week and go back out on the field and play again after seeing something so traumatizing, right? What do you feel like that does to the mental health of the the NFL players that's experienced that or seen that or just go through the daily grind of having to be a professional athlete?
Right. It definitely takes a toll. I imagine that's the type of thing like you see that and you think we got to take it easy in practice
Mm-hmm.
just to like be mindful of each other. Because here's the thing about being a professional athlete, you are still human at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Even like the sport is your life, but you also have a life outside of it, and sometimes the two can bleed into each other in terms of like struggles and like issues. And I think that situation, that Hamlin situation, definitely adds a lot more on everybody's plate. And you kind of get two guys. You get the type of guy who, like this does really affect him. Like not to say that no player cares about him. Like all the players care about it. Like we just
Absolutely.
do because the NFL is a brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
But you have guys who are more empathetic towards it, and then you have the guys who are a little bit more hard nosed and like, okay, like this sucks. Like I do feel bad, but we got to focus on this playoff run or like the
Right.
Super Bowl. And that's a thing with pro sports that I personally hate. Like it's tricky because at the end of the day, it is a business
Mm-hmm.
and there all sorts of things are on the line. But at the same time, I think that super macho tough guy, we got to move on, focus on our goal thing can be, for lack of a better word, toxic sometimes
Right.
because like don't get me wrong, like sure, like you're playing the season for a reason, but like what just happened is fucking real and that
Yeah.
could happen to anybody. So like, just take a second to respect that and like actually give that the attention it needs and be able to decompress from that the way that you need to.
Yeah, and that's why, like for me, it was a real important point for me to address that and have a conversation about that because again, not too many people just can wrap their mind around professional sports alone, but like all the things that come with it and the things that we may not see you guys go through on a daily basis. Because I'm pretty sure it takes a whole lot of mental fortitude to stay disciplined and maintain your intensity level each and every week or each and every day for that matter to prepare for that, Sunday, Monday, Thursday game or whatever. So that's why I definitely want to take this time to give you the space and opportunity to talk about those things and put it into perspective for people who may not know what those challenges are for you guys.
For sure. I mean, it's definitely a lot. Um, I think at the end of the day, it's something as a player, like you've been doing it for a while, so you get excited about it, but the preparation that goes into it is a lot. And in my own personal case, I think this is also just attributed to the fact that I was younger at the time. It's like I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't very good at separating my personal life drama from like my football issues. Like I would have things happening in my personal life that would affect my mood and like how effective I was in football sometimes. So I would be inconsistent at times. Um, and I think that honestly, like that's not an uncommon thing because if you look at all pro sports, like majority of guys who get drafted in are young as hell. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
literally kids, and there's still skills and things about you. There's still skills you don't have and things about yourself that you don't know yet. Whereas I look at a lot of the ways I felt in situations I was in as a player, whereas now I feel very prepared that if I were in those situations again, I know exactly what to do. But back then, I was just drowning.
Right.
It was like I just couldn't separate the two worlds, and it sucks when you can't do that because like again, it's a business. They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Like okay, like yeah, boo hoo, go play good or else,
Mm-hmm.
and that adds a completely new layer of stress to it as well on top of whatever else you have going on. And I don't mean to make it sound like a sob story, but I know many guys I've played with who have been through that. So I can imagine, and knowing that majority of the players in the league have had a career similar to mine, more so than like the 1% of the 1%.
Right. Right.
Um, I know that they felt that at least some point in their careers.
Okay. I know that we was talking about the book, and we're going to transition into that with this. But for you transitioning out like from football to going into regular life and having to find new passions and things of that sort, how easy was it for you to transition from a life of football to living your regular life again?
Oh, it was hard.
Oh,
Actually,
it's
hard
hard.
doesn't even do it
Okay.
justice.
Got
Like
you.
it's
Got you.
and in the book I'm writing, hoping to release it later this year. This is something that I touch on in there is because you can equate it to an identity crisis. Like
Mm-hmm.
you spend so much time in the limelight and people know you for a certain thing. Like, oh, like you're Jordan, the football player. Oh, you're Jordan, the Chicago Bears. You like that's just who you become. But
Right.
it's really sad to be honest because it's like okay, like that is definitely a part of who I am, but there's also a Jordan who is not that, and there's so much
Right.
more to that Jordan because realistically, this about that much of your life is spent being an athlete, but you still got that much life left to
Mm-hmm.
live. But not to say it's not possible, but more time like this is usually not how it works. You spend all of your focus on that tiny time because you want to be the
Yeah.
best possible athlete. Like you can't be the best possible athlete here if you think about this all the time. Like it just is
Exactly.
what it is. Like anything else, like if you only give a fraction of your focus to something, it can only be but so good. It'll never be great. Um,
That's a fact.
yeah, and that's one of those things where it can be hard to find that balance. And as you transition out, you feel that loss of identity because like, okay, well, like I'm not Jordan the Chicago Bear anymore. So like who am I now?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to learn what what makes you tick, what you care about, what you don't care about, and actually start to do things for yourself. Because I know for me that was a huge thing. Was I spent so long, especially as an offensive lineman,
Yeah.
I spent so long just protecting everybody else, making sure everybody else was good.
Right.
I never
Right.
spent time to make sure I was good. So when
That's an
I sit
interesting way to
there,
put it.
yeah. So like when I sit down, I think about, I'm like, okay, like I know what everybody else wants. I know what makes
Mm-hmm.
everybody else feel good. But what does Jordan want? What makes Jordan feel good? And then I'll sit there like, well, shit, I really don't know.
Right.
And you got to take time to figure that out. But as you do, and I'm still learning it now. It becomes
Hmm.
this whole journey of like self-discovery again. And as you go down that, you also start to find new things about yourself as well. And you can really mold yourself into who you want to be. And there's things that you develop as an athlete that carry you into regular life that I think a lot of guys feel like it can only be used on the field. But
Right.
if you learn how to use it in everyday life, it makes you a fucking superstar. Like it just teaches you how to work with people. Your people are going to naturally gravitate towards you, and you are just that much more impactful when you deal with people.
I'm glad that you said that too, because that was something that I was going to ask. Like what were some of the things that you could take from being an NFL player that could transition into you being a great person outside of that discipline? But you kind of answered it. Or if you want to
For
expound
sure.
upon it, you can do that as well.
I'll give you like two. I'll give you two quick
All
ones. So
right,
like
all right.
the the main thing is discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody talks about it, but not everybody has it to a high level. But to be a professional athlete, you have to have an almost otherworldly discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Like even to this day, like I don't play football anymore, but when I did play football, my day started at 5 a.m., ended at 10 p.m. It still does years outside of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that discipline is something that no matter what happens in your environment, no matter how it gets shaken up, at the end of the day, you have what it takes to create regiment and find that structure so that that shakeup doesn't affect you long term. Where some people, they never really get over that hump, or they just go with the waves and it just becomes a shit show.
Yeah.
Um, I would say another one is uh, passion. Um, I think a lot of people, it's easy to say like you love and you like something, but you can always tell a difference when somebody is really about something.
Yeah.
Like when they talk about it, you just feel it. You're like, yo,
Uh-huh.
like you make me want to run through a fucking wall right now. Like they speak from the heart, and I think in order for somebody to like have a strong sense of passion, you have to have been so steeped in something that like literally you ooze it.
Yeah.
And sports, all sports, because every sport, even if it's something like boxing, like it's still you're still part of a team.
Yeah.
Um, like being in a team culture is also huge for that stuff too, because it teaches you how to really care about something, how to be moved by something, and how to move other people through how you feel about that.
No, it's a fact. Okay, so let me ask you this, and then we can take a little break after we answer this question. So, so for your transition, right, like from football to going back into regular everyday life, like what made that transition a little bit easier for you to do that?
Um, I would definitely say, ooh,
I
three
say
things.
I asked the good questions, baby.
Yeah. So one, luck and like I luck in the universe doing this thing.
Okay.
Two, I would say support system. Three, I would say desperation, and that's the one I really want to expand
Yeah,
on because
yeah.
that's
Please
going to be
do, please
interesting.
do, please do.
So when I was in Canada, I didn't know. I felt like my heart wasn't in football anymore. I was like, okay, like yeah, like
Mm,
I'm playing well, but it's not as fulfilling as it used to be to me.
okay.
And that week, as I'm battling, saying like, like I don't know if I want to do this.
Hmm.
Um, I got a call from somebody at the NFL league office talking about somebody had put my name in for a job opportunity there. And I never once thought I could ever work for the league office, but
Hmm.
I took it as a sign from God. I'm like, well, you mean to tell me the week I'm thinking I'm done with football, I get a potential job opportunity at the NFL league office? Like that
Right.
doesn't like that's not luck. Like
Hmm.
that's something else. So I
That's the
jumped on it.
universe.
Exactly. So I jumped on it and jumped on it and never looked back. And I say support system because throughout all that, like you need people who encourage you because
Absolutely.
it's a giant jump and just it's uncertainty. Like I was in Canada playing football and said, fuck it, I'm gonna go back to the States and then move to New York, where like even when I was with the Jets, I didn't live in New York.
Right,
Like then
right.
I'm gonna live in New York and work at this place I've never worked at before in corporate America, which I've never been. Like that is a
Hmm.
huge
A
fucking jump.
huge difference from what you've grown
Yeah,
accustomed to. Yeah.
exactly. But me feeling like that was God telling me I needed to do that, and then like having people who encouraged me when I felt doubtful helped me to do that. But then also the third thing I mentioned, desperation. Like for me, I still wanted the glory of having been a player, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time I knew I was like, if I'm not gonna play, I can't just go to I just can't go to a regular job. I was like, I need to take this opportunity and make something of it. Like I refuse to go back to the life I lived before I became an NFL player. Obviously, like I'm not going to be cutting player checks anymore,
Yeah.
but just for me, I think about like how I grew up, and I like my parents. They tried their best, but I'm like I want a better life for that than myself because I got
Mm-hmm.
a taste of it as a player, and I knew that this opportunity was a chance for me to reinvent myself and create that lifestyle for myself. So I knew it was like literally I was gonna die before I fumbled this bag type deal.
Okay. All right. I see. I know you see the excitement radiating from my face because this is something I really, really want to dive into. But before we do that, right, we're going to take a little break so that way we can have all the time in the world to really get into it. All right, that cool?
For sure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with more of the How Talk podcast in a short minute. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the HolloTalk podcast with Jetpack Nick and my main man, Mr. Jordan Morgan. So before we left, we was talking about this idea of getting a taste of the limelight and not really wanting to let that go once you transition from, you know, whatever it was that brought you all that limelight and success and everything else that comes with it to living a simpler life, right? So I kind of want to get your perspective on like what about it is so attractive that you want to continuously have it, because I've never heard any professional athlete or anybody that's experienced like this level of success say, yeah, I've experienced it, and now I kind of want to just chill, like I don't even want to be in these rooms, and I just want to fade away and live a quiet life. That I've always heard I want more of what I had, just in a different way. Why is that, you think?
For sure. I think it's like a drug because I think it all comes back to ego.
Okay.
It just fuels everybody, especially as an athlete, let alone like a professional athlete. You have to think of yourself in a much at a higher level when it comes to like everything. Like you just kind of have to. Like you have to walk in the room, walk on the field, walk on the court, and be like, I'm literally better than every fucking body else out here. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know them from a can of paint. I know I'm better than them. Like that's you have to have that mentality to perform well against other elite players. But it also spills into regular life sometimes as well. And that's how a lot of times like you do see some guys who seem like they're a little full of themselves. Um, I think the admiration that professional athletes get too, because like everybody loves you. Like
Right.
that type of attention does become addicting. It definitely opens doors too. So like there are benefits to it, but it can also be a thing where you just literally are relying on people for that love and attention. And
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, like we're humans, we're social creatures. Literally everybody wants that, but
Yeah.
famous people get that in insane doses, and you see it sometimes. Like some famous people, like you find out behind closed doors, like they're fucking assholes. And not to say that they all are, because some people are down to earth, but like
Right.
there
Right.
are also some who are just like they think their shit don't stink. Um, and it can be addicting because it's like power, honestly. Like think about not having to work hard or even sell yourself because you just have this brand. All you have to do is just show
Mm-hmm.
up and it happens. Like that's why. I
Okay.
think as you transition out, I think everybody needs to experience a bit of ego death, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like something
absolutely.
that just really humbles you. Like me, as I transitioned out, like I hit rock bottom right before I went to go work at the league office. So for me, like it also became about reinventing myself and understanding that I needed to move on because clinging on to me as a football player wasn't producing anything for me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, you can still have leverage connections and like the title, whether it's current player, former player, still holds some weight, but you have to learn to love the other parts of yourself and see what else life has to offer. Whenever I see guys who, because I would see this at my college, like dudes who like cling on to like when they played and like it wasn't like they had like a star-studded career. And I'm like, dude, like you gotta let it go. Like I'm not saying it didn't happen. Like we acknowledge and we respect that it
Mm-hmm.
happened, but like I'm not trying to see you wear your varsity jacket every day. I don't want you to talk about it every time I talk to you. Like you got to move on, bro.
Right.
Because there's so much more in life that you are robbing yourself of because you're choosing not to move on.
Mm-hmm.
Because who knows? Like maybe your next thing is literally your best thing,
Exactly.
and those previous accomplishments pale in comparison to that, and you wouldn't even know because you're scared to move on.
Yeah, and like even bringing that just thought process up, I think that that's like something that's shared amongst everybody, like not even just athletes, like
Mm-hmm.
like the popular guy in high school who who had all the girls or whatever. Like we're not really trying to hear about what you had.
Yeah, yeah,
We trying to see if
bro.
you still got it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like it carry a different weight now. Carry a different weight.
No, absolutely, man. So you transitioning out of football real quick. Did you retire like on your own will or was it
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What was the reason that you just said I'm done with it?
It just didn't feel the same anymore. Like I remember when I first got into football, I was just in love with competing that way and the matchups and everything. But through like the politicking over the years and like not being able to do the things I wanted to do with my professional career, I've got to the point where I'm like, okay, like at this point, like I'm not even playing because I love football. Like I'm just
Mm-hmm.
playing for like money or playing just for maybe I get another shot to land a big deal with a team. But those were never the reasons I started playing football in the first place. So for me, it just wasn't as impactful. It started to feel more like work and less like fun.
Got you. I've recently just seen something where they said for NFL players to be available for the pension, you had to be in the league for 3 years or more. Right, you're 3 years or more, right?
I'm shy by 2 games.
What?
Mm-hmm.
No fucking way.
Yeah, and that's something that I actually spoke a lot about at the league office because I'm like, you want players to have this pension at that mark, but like most players don't make it to that
Yeah,
mark. Like
about
they
two
stop
years.
right before it. So it's
Yeah.
like that. Like it's don't worry. Like don't like dudes are still getting
Wow.
that, and then I'm happy for him. But then like you got a guy like me who is like, okay, well I was there for longer than that time, but I wasn't active that whole time, so I
Hmm.
still don't get it, even though I was there longer than that time. It's crazy.
Hmm. Damn. I see. I didn't know it was like that close because I like talking to you. We've talked about these things before, so it's like, damn, I didn't know 2 games. That's insane. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was that
Oh
was
my.
actually why I continued to try to play because I was like, like right before I made the decision to stop,
Yeah.
I was like, I just need 2 more games, but there's no guarantee somebody will sign you back.
Right.
So it's like you can be like, yeah, I need 2 more games, and then you go like a whole season not playing for nobody, and now it's like, well, I just wasted a year of my life pretty
Hmm.
much. And that was what the way I started to think about that stuff too was like I don't have time to just sit here and play this what if guessing game. Oh, maybe it'll work out next year. Like, no, like I need shit to happen now.
No, it's a fact. Somebody give my man 2 games, man. Somebody get it
Word. Let me sign a 1 day
2
contract. Let me sign a 1 day contract and hop on the field, hop off.
Real talk. Okay, so in the beginning, you also mentioned something that you're doing currently, which is the MMA thing. Let's get into
Mm-hmm.
that. Talk to me about it, man.
Yeah, it was really, really random how I fell into this space. My brother was a boxer for some years and had
Okay.
my last year playing, he switched to MMA. And I remember being in the city because it was off season, and I was just driving him around like looking for a gym, just trying to like help him out because I'm like, oh, like, I'm not doing that but working out, waiting for camp to start. So I'm like, yeah, like I got you. Um, we find a gym. I get him like connected in there. He's like doing his thing, and like after a while, they're like, yo, like you should hop in, like it's a good workout. So like I hopped in for like a class or two, and I'm like, yo,
Mm-hmm.
like that was mad fun. Um, so then I started to add that type of stuff to my workout. So I'm like, okay, like
Mm-hmm.
this is a different type of cardio, different type of conditioning, and I like how it pushes me. So like it's fun. Because my I feel like the work like, I was getting bored with my workouts too.
Right.
And next thing I know, I retire. I move up to New York, and like
Mm-hmm.
I'm hitting up the dudes from the gym because like some of them are in the UFC, and I'm like, yo, like I'm relocating here. Like, do you know if it's any like legit MMA gyms around here? Like, not none of that class card kickboxing cardio. I'm like, no, like I'm
Right.
trying to learn the real shit because like it's hard,
Mm-hmm.
but it's very rewarding and fun.
Right.
Uh, and that was how I fell in with my gym up here, David Branch Jiu Jitsu, and it's really just been a blast. Like I was in a tournament and I went undefeated in the tournament. I'm getting ready
Okay.
for a fight in the
Okay.
next month or two. And then the crazy part, like this is the part that be fucking people's heads up is like, so in 21 when I was playing, I was like 330, 335. So that's about a year and a half ago. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
year and some change. 335 then, and as of today, I'm 255. So like I literally
Wow.
lost like well like 80-ish pounds in the past like year and some change.
Damn.
Yeah, like I was geek. I'm like, damn, I got abs and shit now. Like, man, this is different right now. But no, it's been a crazy ride. I'm super excited. It's the thing that started off as a hobby, but I love how much it challenges and pushes me. So now it's kind of be I now honestly similar to football in the sense I'm like, okay, well, how good can I be? Let's find out.
Okay. Hey, my man said I got abs and shit now. He said I can take my shirt off
Mm-hmm.
at the beach.
Swear, bro. It's 2023 looking real shirtless.
Okay. So what's your main goals now that you're in this new space of mixed martial arts? Is it something that you wanna, take and get to the UFC? Is it just something that you want to do? Oh yeah, okay.
So for me, with anything I do when it comes to competing, my goal is always to be the best at it. Like
Okay.
I know it sounds cliche and corny, but that's literally just like how my brain works. If I enter in any sort of competition, my first thought is like, all right, how do I beat everybody else? Like what I beat everybody else? Like what do I get for that? Where do I end up?
Right.
So like that is definitely a goal for me. But ultimately, I'm trying to figure out how to tie this book and like train like figuring out like a new identity for
Mm-hmm.
yourself, figuring out how to tie it all into one and like market that to former players because there's so much that they have to offer outside of just having played the game of football.
Absolutely.
Um, be it as a person, as a thinker, maybe as an athlete and something else. Like there's like odds are you'll probably retire young because that's just a
Mm-hmm.
statistic, whether it's on your own terms or not. But
Right.
there's still so much more in life you can do, and I'd argue that you have a better shot at doing a lot of things than other people because you were a former professional athlete. Like you have that title, you have the athletic ability. Um, I can't speak for every sport because I've only played football
Right,
professionally.
right.
In football, like the playbooks you have to learn like day one install like you got to know like fucking 10 pages 20 pages
Yeah.
of shit by the time you
Takes a
get to the
lot
end
of
of the
brain
page the
power.
book's like this. Yeah, like your ability to process and even on the field like the same way you see a quarterback stare at a defense for 2 seconds and make a myriad of calls based off of what he
Mm-hmm.
saw in those 2 seconds like that cerebral processing power is not a normal thing like
Right.
that's like surgical type shit. um, and learning how to take that and use it in other things in life to your benefit, like that's the key right there. And I want to continue to figure out the best way to market that to guys in that field because I think it's something that we all need. Like I wish I would have had somebody telling me those things when I was going through it, figuring it out. It made my life a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like coming on a platform like this, the HolloTalk podcast, right? You get to unapologetically talk about these things and be able to share things that you would normally talk about amongst your select group of people or whatever. But being able to provide these gems for people and let them hear these thought processes and these experiences, hopefully it allows them a chance to kind of see inside and see these different perspectives and be able to not only learn about it, but then begin to relate to it, which I guess helps with your idea of marketing these ideas and thoughts to other people. So, shouts
Exactly.
out to the HolloTalk podcast.
Exactly. Shouts out to the HolloTalk podcast.
So real quick, before I get you out here, is there any questions you want to ask me? It can be anything, like whatever you want to know.
Talk to me about the Hawaii sign behind you, bro. Because I've been staring at that this
The
whole time,
Hawaii
and I'm
shot.
curious. Yeah,
So I mean, it ain't nothing crazy. Like my dad just worked in Hawaii and brought it back. That's
I
it.
respect that though. I respect that. When I used to travel, that was like my thing is like I was like I gotta get something from a place and bring it
Yeah.
back to my crib just because like it looked different, it feels different, it
Mm-hmm.
smells different. It's just like it's like a slice of somewhere else. It just makes it mad unique.
No, that's a fact. Actually, we can actually talk about that because for me, like I've traveled a few different places, and you know what, whenever I go, I always make it my mission to ingratiate myself in wherever I decide to go or whatever place I wind up for vacation or whatever the case may be.
For
Just
sure.
learning about different people, different cultures, different languages, different styles of dress.
You
All these
should. You
types of
should.
things are amazing. So but like the point I'm getting to is like for you, like you travel to all these different cities, states, and I'm not sure if you travel like internationally or anything like that, but like you travel more than the average person is what I'm saying. So
Yeah, no, it's I think that's part of what also helped build that desperation up for me that I was talking about earlier because I'm like, yo, this is what life is about. Like life is more than just that same 8 block radius in Philly. I was like in fucking like I was on the islands. I've been like on a few different islands like south before, and I'm like, yo, I'm literally on a beach with white sand with my toes in it, just drinking a drink, and really hardly anybody here speaks English. Like, but everybody's just like vibing, doing their own thing.
facts.
Like, I want to be able to experience shit like that more often. Not to the point where I'm doing it every fucking week. Like, I ain't that bougie, but like once a year, maybe
Yeah,
twice a year if we're doing really well. I'm like, yeah, like I would love to fucking do that. Like, and everybody should experience that because it just changes your perspective. Like that shit made
absolutely.
me go into like grind state. Like I'm like, yeah, bro, we gotta make it happen any type of way so we can continue to do shit like this.
And I always gotta speak everything into the universe, but that's why I do the Hollow Talk podcast and all the other things that I do because at some point, making all these wonderful connections I've made with all these amazing people, we're gonna get some opportunities to
It's
do
gonna
some
pop
really
for
big
you.
shit.
It's gonna pop for you, bro. It's gonna pop.
Like and having you on and all the other guests I've had on the previous seasons, like it's been amazing to not only have you all come on here and talk to me and be open to talk about your feelings, your thought processes, your life experiences, and anything else that you guys decide to talk about. But it's dope that you're doing it with me and feel comfortable enough to do it in my space and on my platform. Because like I tell everybody else, it's not too many places where we could go and be open and have these types of
Mm-hmm.
conversations and people be able to understand and have a conversation with you that makes sense and all these type of things, like all these little
Sure.
nuances that we think about as we go through everyday life. So at least I'm able to make you all feel comfortable enough to come do that and make it enjoyable enough to be like, yeah, I like this guy, I want to talk to him
Yeah,
some
you
more.
good. You good people, bro. You give the great vibes. You
You know
give
what
the
I'm saying?
great vibes.
Like we met in real life too, so
Mm-hmm.
it's different. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Mm-hmm.
outside, man. International Nick. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do.
Let's go. That boy outside.
You know what I'm saying? Jetpack Nick for a reason. I travel. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm a rapper.
There you go. There you go.
No, but man, I've enjoyed this conversation a lot, man. I really want to thank you for coming on and talking to me. Thoroughly appreciate it. And I congratulate you on all the things that you got going on and all the things that you will continue to have going on. Um, Before I really get you out of here, though, it's customary to the How Talk podcast, man. Can you please drop 3 gems for the people to take away from this conversation?
For sure. Let's start with don't sell yourself short. Believe that you can be. Everybody has that person who look like, man, like I wish I was that guy. You can be that guy, bro. You
For
just have
sure.
to believe. You just have to believe it and pull the trigger on it. Another one I would say is lean on your support system. I know, especially like
Mm-hmm.
us as Black men, it can
Yes.
be hard sometimes because like we ain't always brought up thinking that. But if you got somebody you can talk to about hard shit, talk to them about the hard shit. Like you keeping that inside is only making it worse for you and everybody involved because it's gonna make you boil over. Now you're spilling on everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad for everybody. Third one I would say is make connections and stay in touch with people, man. That's how we on the HolloTalk right
Right.
now. Come on now. Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? My boy was like, yo, I heard you doing some hot shit. I need to be a part of it. Come on,
Yes,
brother.
sir.
Come
Yes, sir.
on.
Yes, sir.
No, real talk, man. Can the people find you anywhere, like social medias or
For sure. For
anything?
sure.
Drop all that. Drop all that.
So Instagram, obviously Instagram is mad popular, mad famous. The Instagram is just Jordan's, simple
Okay.
and concise, right to the point. LinkedIn, Jordan Morgan hit me on there too as I continue to build out what this business will look like.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anybody you want to shout out? Anything you want to shout out, promote, whatever? Like, I'm giving you the floor, man.
For sure. No, we got into a lot of it today. Be on the lookout for my book later this year, hoping to release it
Absolutely.
before the summer. Still got to finalize the title. The title will be the hardest part, man. I
That's a
swear.
fact.
Because you want it to grab everybody's attention, but
Mm-hmm.
you want it to be cool, not corny. So it's a fine line. So yeah, be on the lookout for the book. Be on the lookout for the fight news. Looking to have that up in the next month or so. And that's really all I got.
All right, cool, man. Well, listen, I really truly thank you and appreciate you, man. I thank you for reaching out to me and even wanting to come on and come talk to me. Like that was a big moment for me. If I could take some time to big you up for doing that for me, like
Appreciate you,
that
brother.
that was that was a big moment for me because you know how people always say, like, you never know what rooms your name is being spoken in. And
Mm-hmm.
I always try to carry myself in a genuine manner when it comes to my interactions with people. I try to be myself in every interaction, every room that I walk in, and hope that that reputation precedes me in every other room that people may bring my name up in, and
Yeah, it's
that happened to
important,
be the
man.
case.
Exactly. So let this be the proof in the pudding. Like this, that's
Exactly.
real. That's a real thing.
So for that, I just wanted to say thank you for reaching back out to me and showing love and showing support to me,
For
and
sure, bro.
allowing me opportunity to have you tell your story on my platform.
For sure, bro. I
you know
appreciate you.
yeah, so for that, that's all love, bro, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I just want to say thank you to the HolloTalk podcast listeners and supporters for supporting us through and through. um we got the new season up and running. Shouts out to that season 5. Um, Also, man, prayers up to my guy DeMar Hamlin, man. We
Word.
always gotta say that. Support to him and support to everybody else involved, his family. And thank you to you, man. Thank you to Mr. Jordan Morgan, the legend himself.
My guy.
All right, so with that being said, we're gonna sign out. Love and appreciate y'all, and thank you, my brother.
Appreciate you, bro. You have a
Peace.
good one.